And credit goes to the owner, the GM, the coach, whoever. San Francisco's loaded. Very few flaws. Kansas City's stacked. Baltimore. Interesting, Baltimore, Hollywood Brown, a speedy wide receiver, gained 23 pounds of muscle during this offseason. Remember last year how Lamar Jackson completely transformed his body? Now, of the three great teams, I am a believer that tough childhood equals better adulthood. I'll give you a fascinating study. They did a study on 300 millionaires in Great Britain to find out how they think. And they looked at their childhood, they looked at their communication skills, their flaws and weaknesses. And what the study discovered is that 40% of the millionaires, not 40 of 300, almost half of them were dyslexic. Why? Why would that be? Now think about that if you're driving and listening to me on radio. The hell would that be? Because dyslexic kids are often humiliated. Dyslexic kids feel ostracized. Dyslexic kids, it's never easy. Nothing. Reading a menu can be humiliating. It's hard. But that metal, and they also found that dyslexic kids are more strategic, realizing they struggle with reading. They tend to hop ahead of other kids. Time alone, work ethic, strategic ideas. And how does that tie to Baltimore? Because of the three great teams in the league, it's actually been fairly easy for Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes learns from Alex Smith. Next year, it's the AFC Championship. Next year, they win the Super Bowl. That's pretty quick. Didn't work that quick for Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. Then there's San Francisco. First year, Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan have a year together. They roll the good teams. They humiliate Green Bay twice, and they end up going to the Super Bowl. But it's been different from Baltimore. Now, you think to yourself, Colin, come on, Lamar is the MVP. No. Of the three great rosters, it's actually been more of a struggle than you think. Well, they're great, but they can't beat Mahomes. They're 0-2. Well, they get to the playoffs, and they've been humiliated both times. Lamar is the MVP. He can't play from behind. He can't throw. It pissed him off. You listen to Lamar. The scariest thing in the world is pro sports is great people who have been humiliated get out of their way. The AFC is a two-team race. One of them's holding champagne parties and parades. The other in Baltimore has been humiliated. Watch it. I've never said this in my life. Baltimore is the two scariest things in football. Stacked and pissed. Because it's been hard. I mean, Lamar Jackson, he can't throw. Don't say it. He can't play from behind. Nobody says that about Mahomes. Nobody says that about Garoppolo. I mean, is Tyreek Hill putting on 24 pounds? Is Dante Pettis in San Francisco? We all look at this road for Baltimore and we say, it's just been, oh my God, it's just win after win. No, it's not. Lamar Jackson was MVP. He's the only MVP in my life that we have said the following offseason, I think he'll regress. Oh, is he old? No, he's actually just coming into his prime. There's never been an MVP. Half the league doesn't buy into Lamar Jackson. Hell, I could say more than half the league. That's never happened in my life. We didn't doubt a young Peyton or a young Favre or a young Mahomes or a young... That dyslexic study is fascinating. Look it up. You're more strategic. You learn to work alone. You got that little bit of chip, that little bit of resentment. Ravens 16-0. Count on it.
Relying on so many guys who have never done it before that he was like, you know what? I need to prove that I can do it in the West just like I did it in the East. And if I'm going to prove that, I better do it during the regular season because I don't know that this team is going to get me where I need to go to make that point in the postseason.
You know, it's a really good point. LeBron's always been a little ahead in terms of players and analytics. And, I mean, he went to the three-pointer 12 years ago. He figured it out in his last few years the first time in Cleveland, and a lot of guys did not. It's interesting. People look at Portland. And it took Carmelo years to figure out exactly where he fit perfectly, but he's found it. Nurkic is really good. Dame, to me, is the best hit a shot from deep in the bubble. You know, a lot of people are saying Portland can't defend LeBron, but I got to tell you, nobody for the Lakers can defend Dame. That it looks like it's going to be a series. Lakers, Blazers. Your thoughts on it?
I'm not convinced that the Blazers can win the series, but I am convinced that they can extend it and make it a lot harder on the Lakers than they would want, and that LeBron at 35 would want. If you look at all of the years that he has gone to the finals and or won a championship, he's always eased through the first round. It's been a sweep, or it's been 5 games. There was only 1 year when it wasn't, when the Pacers took him to 7 games and he had nothing left by the time that they got to the Warriors and they got swept out. So I believe that the same thing could happen here. Yes, they're going to have an issue defending LeBron. They don't have that one guy. If they had Rodney Hood or Trevor Ariza, I think they'd have a better chance at that. But they do have a thing that the Lakers have relied on all year, which is size. And they actually may have better size on the front line and more talented size on the front line, AD accepted, than almost any other team, and than the Lakers do. I mean, Nurkic and Hassan Whiteside and Zach Collins, I'm going to take that over JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. Yeah. So they have, and then don't sleep on Anthony Simons and Gary Trent Jr. Yeah. They have depth and versatility, and I think that's going to make this a series a lot like the Warriors last year. They needed to get through the Clippers fast, and when it took 6 games, it was like, they're expending energy now that they were going to need later, and ultimately it did cost them. Yeah, Gary Trent Jr. has been surprising from outside, and they have tremendous size and depth. I think Portland is, and they're playing with house money, man. When you're an 8 seed and you're facing a 1, you have nothing to lose. Hey, and Colin, don't underestimate. In 2018, Anthony Davis and the Pelicans swept them out and upset them as the 3rd seed. Don't think that doesn't stick in Damian Lillard's craw, C.J. McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic, who got abused by Anthony Davis. Like, if they see the Lakers and Anthony Davis, they are going to have a point that they want to prove. You know, I was saying this about if anything's too hard, it's not right. And every business, when you start, you have to pivot. No business goes right. We look at Amazon and Netflix. They're great examples. They rule America, but they it was a tough struggle. But if something is hard 10 years in, it's not right, or after you've done it a while. And I'm watching Embiid and Simmons. They've moved Simmons to a new position. Brett Brown's on the hot seat. Embiid's arguing with teammates the other day. Simmons is hurt last night. They struggled against Washington. They had to rearrange the deck chairs again with their roster, bring in Al Horford. And I look at this, Rick, and I'm watching them last night, and I'm thinking to myself, geez, it's 3 years in. It still doesn't work right. Why can't they just acknowledge, break them up, and start over? Because the talent is too great, and I don't know that you could get it back. And they invested 4 years of losing to get this roster. So it's really hard when you've made that kind of a sacrifice, and then you admit, you know what? The process and all that we went through and what we got out of it, not really delivering. And this is the heart of it. And by the way, America, this is why you